Hey, good morning. Welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. It is, what is it? It's February 1st, February 2022. Hope you all are doing well. We have a lot to talk about today, some fairly serious stuff. Then I hope I have time to get to a couple of, well, I won't call them silly, but not the serious stuff, right? Uh, Start off with a little something on a personal note. This will be of interest to, well, might be of interest to some other people too after I say what I'm going to say. But to any of you old martial artists out there, or anybody who is a martial arts enthusiast, if you remember from the old days, I got up this morning, woke up earlier than I usually do. Woke up about 5:30. I don't choose to be an early riser. I like for time to let my brain kind of acclimate. And there's a story that we're going to get to here in a little bit, hopefully, that kind of explains that maybe. But anyway, I got up earlier than I usually do, and I came downstairs and turned on the computer to start looking at the stories of the day, and a notification popped up from a group that I'm in, a martial arts group, and it was a message from Jeff Smith, who I just mentioned yesterday, I think. Jeff apparently has been active lately, and it was advising that Bob Wall had just died. If you all know who Bob Wall is, you know what a loss that is to the martial arts community. If you don't know who he is, if you've watched Bruce Lee movies, he was O'Hara, the guy with the scar on his face, in what was it, Enter the Dragon? I think I always get. I never saw too many of Lee's movies, but I think that's I did see that one, and I saw that. Bob was one of the original hammers and go-getters and developers of the martial arts in the United States. He was the one, I believe, if you've seen one that I made over on integrative preparedness, I told the story about how he was instrumental in getting Bruce Lee to be able to shoot that fight scene with Chuck Norris in the Coliseum in Rome. And it was because of contacts that Bob had that they were able to get in there. The Italian government didn't let anybody in there because it's dangerous, but Bob had some contacts and he was able to get in there. I think I put that in something like The Importance of Contact or something like that. He was a partner with Bruce Lee for years and years and years. There's some great stories in there that Bob has told me that maybe I'll pass along at another time. He was partners with, excuse me, my laptop's going. He was partners with Joe Louis in a chain of karate studios out in California, who then, I believe, Chuck Norris bought out Joe Louis, and so Bob was partners with Norris for ever since then. He's with it. So many things that he has done. He was really a foundational stone in American martial arts. And the last time that I taught, matter of fact, I was thinking about doing a video over on integrative preparedness, several videos, as a matter of fact, from a bunch of stuff that Bob had recently sent me in the mail. I saw him for just fleetingly not too long ago in Kansas City at a function, but the last time that I talked to him, probably 6 months ago, and here's something of interest, and we probably talked for an hour, 2 hours on the phone. And he told me at the time that, well, let me back this up. They say the word is he died of COVID. Bob told me during our conversation, I believe, that he was fully vaccinated. So make of that what you will. American martial arts and the world of martial arts lost a great one today, and that's Bob Wall. And I put a kind of a tribute to him on the Patreon channel over on Integrated Preparedness. I'm going to put it also on the Patreon channel here on American Reversion, which reminds me, welcome to all the new people. We are quickly approaching that magical 1,000 subscriber point on the YouTube channel, and the Patreon channel continues to grow. Thank you all. We appreciate that so much. What's the Patreon channel? It's a way that you can support this channel if you'd like. And I put more stuff over there than I do here. So however you want to be a part of us, I welcome you, and hope that you will become a part of things. Hope you get something out of it, and also that you'll contribute, not just with $1 if you so choose, but with your comments and your conversation with us. Okay, let's get into the other stuff today. NPR story. I love it when interesting stuff comes out of the other side, because they can't, there's only so much truth they can bury, right? And when it comes to statistics, they can play with them, but they can't change the numbers. So here's a, and we know also that sometimes they will spill the truth just for a different reason that we want to. The headline on this says 1 in 4 Americans say violence against the government is sometimes okay. Well, how about that? It says nearly a quarter of Americans say it's sometimes okay to use violence against government, and 1 in 10 Americans say violence is justified right now. Now, we know that they're probably using this as a way to, to build up the state response to anything that might occur, like the picnic in January 6th, But I have no doubt that the figures are probably right. It says that's a finding of the new report by the COVID States Project, which asked 23,000 people across the country whether it's ever justifiable to engage in violent protest against the government. The report is one of several in recent months that find people more likely to contemplate violent protests than they had been in the past. It says here nearly 1 in 4 said violence was either definitely or probably justifiable against the government. A similar percentage of liberals and conservatives agree on this point. Well, isn't that interesting? Another group who would agree that violence is sometimes justified against the government, that would be our founding fathers. Let's go to the next thing. This is also interesting. This is from Breitbart, and let's follow this. We're coming to a there's a common thread here. This is from Breitbart, and John Nolte. The headline is 50% support impeaching Joe Biden. If you can find it, right? Okay, the subhead says one of the most accurate pollsters of the last 20 years released a bombshell poll Monday that shows 50% of voters want to see his fraudulency, Joe Biden, impeached. Let's go down and get into the numbers just a little bit. This includes 50% of black voters. We talked about how the Democrats are losing the black vote. They're trying to refill that. They've been trying to refill that with the Hispanic vote, but they're losing that too. The reason is because while the Democrats see everything through, and there will be people out there, you can't say the Democrats are any better than Republicans. Well, we're going to get to a story in a minute that kind of makes your point. But I will say the conservatives are better than liberals and progressives. So, the liberals and progressives, I'll use those terms, and Democrats are liberals and progressives. They see things through a racial lens. Conservatives tend not to, because conservatives live their lives and make judgments on other people according to certain criteria of standards and behavior, right? Those foundational principles that we talk about. Is a person honest? Yes. Are they hardworking? Yes. Are they self-sufficient? Yes. Do they believe in fundamental human and civil rights? Yes. Those are conservative positions. The other, let's give somebody a job because of their race, or stop somebody getting a job because of their race, or whatever it is. When they see things through a lens of race or sex or chosen lifestyle, whatever like that, those are, I won't call them principles because they're not. They're totally unprincipled. but those are the things on which liberals and progressives base their decisions. So let's get down in here. So that includes 50% of black voters who want to see Biden impeached. Now, here's what he says. Half of voters believe that President Joe Biden should be impeached, and nearly as many think Republicans will do it if they win a congressional majority in the midterm elections. Well, okay, they might, and they might not. Republicans are good at talking a game. They're not so good at playing a game. They're like Mahomes in the second half of the playoff game. Till you get there, everything's, yeah, we're going to do it, and then they get there and they can't complete a pass. A new national telephone online survey by Rasmussen reports, and the National Pulse finds that 50% of likely U.S. voters support the impeachment of Biden. And let's get down here if there's anything else, because I don't want to waste any time on this. We don't have to. That's about it. I think it gets into the internals, and we don't have to spend time on that. 50% want Biden impeached. It's amazing how many. Let's see if it says in here. It did say, okay. Are you ready for this? 34% of Democrats support impeaching Biden. Okay, as do 50% of black voters. Well, good. We're going to see. Now, are the Republicans going to do anything when they get in? Well, ask yourself, what do the Republicans do when they get in? They start making a bunch of noise. You'll think that things are happening, and then all of a sudden, after just an abundance of evidence, and you think that they're going to bring it to a close, nothing happens, right? Okay. We need that to change, and it's not going to change by staying within this old system of Democrat-Republican. That's why America needs a reversion, okay? And that's where we're going to get. So are the Republicans going to do it? Well, have you read Peter Schweizer's book? I haven't. That sounded like I have. I have not. I haven't even gotten it yet. I do want to. Haven't had time. Peter Schweizer's book, Red-Handed. If you're not, look it up. And from it, we find that 23 former U.S. senators and congressmen who lobby for Chinese military or Chinese intelligence-linked companies. These are I'll say that again, former U.S. senators and congressmen who lobby for Chinese military or Chinese intelligence-linked companies. Was it a majority? Let me see. Many of them were Republicans. Yeah, there it says right there. The majority of whom were Republicans. Okay. So, John Boehner right up there at the top. I haven't gone through the whole list here. And, while it might be interesting, Tim Hutchinson was on it. Trent Lott was on it. Let me just see if there's any. Joe Lieberman was on it. How about that? See if there's any other names that you might want to know about. I'm looking for Barbara Boxer. We know that, right? While it might be interesting, the point is that we know that everybody's in bed with this stuff and they're in it for the money. Which leads us back to our second story of the day, that 1 in 10 people think that violence against the government is okay, and it gets to that point because it finally comes to the point where that's the only solution. Okay? We work politics to try to avoid that, and we're going to do our best, But down the road, that's about all that will. If we can't fix it this way, we're going to have to fix it another. Okay, now, away from national news. Well, it's not really away from national news because this is just the same idiocy that pervades all of our country. And that's this George Gascon. He's that Soros-backed DA out there in California. This is also from Breitbart. Sex offender 26 gets juvenile sentence thanks to this Soros-backed DA, George Gascon. The subhead says 26-year-old convicted sex offender Hannah Tubbs, which is his name, her name, will serve 2 years in a juvenile facility and will not have to register as a sex offender, thanks to this guy. Tubbs, a transgender female, and I'm just now, I can't claim that I really understand this yet. I guess that means that he's a male who thinks he or is acting like a female. Is that what that means? Admitted choking and sexually assaulting a 10-year-old in a bathroom stall at a restaurant in 2014. A crime that shocked LA at the time and was not solved until DNA evidence turned up in Tubbs' later criminal trials. So Tubbs had other criminal trials because Tubbs is a criminal. He's not just a criminal, he's a pervert. Okay, the transgender male to female Tubbs, yeah, okay, that's what that means, okay. Linked to the crime in 2019, Gascon triggered outrage by prosecuting Tubbs as a juvenile because the crime occurred just before Tubbs' 18th birthday. So we got this guy who wants to be a girl, goes into a girl's bathroom and assaults a 10-year-old girl. And, this speaks to that. Well, just because they think that they're something else that they're not, doesn't mean that they're a danger to society. Well, I tell you, anytime you have a thought pattern that is different than the norm, you are playing with fire. And a society that puts up with this crap assures that it will get more of it. So this guy, he was went in, assaulted this little 10-year-old, and because when they found out, well, he hadn't turned 18 yet, so they prosecute him as a juvenile, and he's going to serve his time in a juvie facility, even though he is now, how old is he now? 26 years old. So he's going to juvie. Well, there's plenty of other young people, I suppose, that this Gascon will make available to him. That's just flat out evil. When you when you call good evil and evil good, that's a sin, and that's evil. All right. Okay, Texas, you're in for a storm. We know that. They say it's going to put your grid at risk again. Good luck to you all. Hope you're all prepped up like I did put something over on integrative preparedness. I probably should have talked about it here, and that is the Canadian truck convoy. Those guys are saying that they've got enough money to keep their trucks parked there in Ottawa for 2 to 4 years. I don't know. I can't swear to that, but apparently their war chest is just swelling, busting at the seams. I saw one figure of up around $10 million. Hey, those are the guys who might get this taken care of. And I've heard, like I also said on the other channel, Kelly and I were talking to one of our nephews who's an over-the-road driver, and he says there's talk about a couple of those convoys starting up here in the States. So these guys might just shut down North America until Trudy Trudeau up there finally stops hiding and comes back into Canada from the United States and maybe overturns this. They might bring that country back to where that country ought to be, because Canada is a great country full of great people. And they don't deserve the kind of government that well, let me say it this way. Many of them, the good folks up there, don't deserve the government they've got, just like the good folks here in the States don't deserve the government we've got, and something's got to be done about it, and these guys are doing something about it. So stock up. If there's anything that you need, get it. Get it. If there's anything you'll need in the next year, get it now, because the prices are not going to go down, and they may not be available pretty soon. I said this also over there. I know the Aldi where we go uh, to which we go. Uh, I know I'm a writer and I end a sentence in a preposition. How horrible. Uh, a lot of there, it's not terrible yet, but there's a lot of big holes in the shelves. And the milk is low, and many of the things that we get, uh, it's either low or not there. I haven't been able to find. I particularly like their baking mix. It's a lot better priced than Bisquick, and I use it a lot for biscuits and pancakes and all of that. And there's a peek into my personal life, right? I love biscuits, and the kids love pancakes. But I haven't found it down there for 2 months. So anyway, if you need something, these truckers just might be what turns these mandates and other things in our country around. Good for them. I am fully supportive of what we're doing, and it's up to us to be prepared, stock up. Remember that preparedness is the ultimate in responsibility. It's not craziness. It's not kookiness. It is responsibility, just like having any kind of insurance, your car insurance, your house insurance, your health insurance, your life insurance. And if you aren't prepared to last a year or two without going to the store, you don't have the real kind of life insurance, the food insurance, the everything else that you need. So please do it. You owe it to yourself and to your family. If you're not with us over on integrative preparedness, come on over, because we talk about that stuff over there. Here's a fascinating thing. Do you ever feel like you're living in the past? Some of us wish we were, because the past was a better time, Now, personally, the past was not a better time for me personally. I love the life I'm living now. I hope you all do too. But the past in America certainly was a better time. Well, here's something that is just fascinating. These kinds of things fascinate me. How are we doing on time? Okay. Excuse me. Take a shot here. Berkeley, California, from which all great things come, right? People often, whatever. People often accuse others of living in the past, but it turns out everyone is, by exactly 15 seconds. Now get this. Researchers from the University of California, Berkeley, have discovered that the human brain shows you images from 15 seconds in the past, instead of trying to update your vision in real time. I said, what? So I went on. Let's see if it explains this. Just like a social media feed, the brain is constantly uploading new and rich visual stimuli. However, to keep everything that our eyes are taking in every second of every day in order, the study finds the brain actually presents us with an image from 15 seconds earlier. Where did I get this? This is studyfinds.org. And I am going to get to the point to where I will link the articles that I get stuff from, whether it's on here or over on Patreon down there. I just don't have time right now. Finishing up the book, finishing up the light season, finishing a lot of things. But I will get there, but not quite yet. The findings provide new insights into what scientists call the mind's continuity field, a function of perception where the brain merges with what our eyes see to provide a sense of stability. Without it, study authors say, they've missed a comma there, and the world would actually appear like a blurry jumble in your eyes. If our brains were always updating in real time, the world would be a jittery place with constant fluctuations in shadow, light, and movement, and we'd feel like we were hallucinating all the time, explains senior study author David Whitney, a UC Berkeley professor of psychology, neuroscience, and vision science in a university release. Well, that's fine. I wonder if you could kind of use that in an exchange of ideas. I almost said argument. An exchange of ideas. You could say something and the person said, well, why would you say that? And you said, well, what? What did I say? You said something. No, I didn't. Okay, probably not, right? Because we're all 15 seconds back. Anyway, I thought that was fascinating. And the last one here of the day, I have no idea who this was. For those of you Walking Deaders out there, I watched, I think, the first 1 or 2 seasons of The Walking Dead. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? I found that fairly interesting. but I haven't since. But apparently, a Walking Dead actor, Moses J. Mosley, is dead at 31. I guess he played a pet zombie. A pet zombie? People have zombies as pets? So he was found dead from a gunshot wound inside his car. Are they saying it's being investigated as a possible suicide? You know, the thing that makes that odd is that just, what was it, 2 days ago? I think I was going to include this in the show, but I don't think I had time. Remember the Miss America? Was it, no, Miss USA from a few years ago? Jumped off a building in New York, killed herself, and she was 30, I think. And here is this guy shot himself, and he's 31. What does that mean? I don't know, but that's just kind of odd. A couple of people in the public eye, an actor and I guess she was a lawyer, but she was a Miss USA. A couple of people, 30 and 31, killed themselves in just a couple of days. That's odd. That is odd. Well, okay, I think that brings us to the end of that. I think these are interesting things coming down the pike. You know, 1 in 10, the idea that people are even taking these polls of how many people believe violence against the government is appropriate or needed, necessary, that's interesting. 50% looking at a possible, at the, promoting, supporting, be better, the impeachment of the president, and all these other things. This country is going in a very interesting direction, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, I'd be interested, very interested, and I'm sure everyone else would be, to hear your thoughts on this. By the way, did I mention this? I don't know if I did or not earlier. We're rapidly approaching that magical 1,000 subscriber point. That is really great. Thank you all for that. And so I'll ask again, please, if you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up and share it and subscribe. Make sure that you're subscribed. And if you'd like to support us or see some of the other stuff that I put up over on Patreon, I'll put the link down here and you can go to that. And we'd love to see you over there too. Until then, this was February 1st, 2021, and we will be back tomorrow with some more. Remember that America needs a reversion, a return to the way that it ought to be. And it needs all of us, including you, to be a part of it. Thank you very much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.